on the left, two fingers up on the right. Repeat after Sister Jamila.
Allah,
Allah,
Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom, and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector
and my guide,
and my guide
by night,
by night
and by day.
and by day.
Through his holy prophet,
Through his holy prophet,
Noble Dwali,
Drew Ali,
also known as Sheikh Sharif Abdul
also known as Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali.
Islam.
Islam.
well, that was good. But, that was very good, Sister. It's through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. But that's okay. He is Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali as well. Islam family, first I rise, I give praise to Allah, I give honors to the I give honors and due to each and every one of you here. I'm glad Allah got you here safely. I give honors to all that pertains to Islam, I give honors to my grand sheikh, my sheikhs, and all that's noble. Islam. Salvation, Allah, unity. The more, and listen, y'all, you have to be quiet. The more symbol of America, the divine constitution and bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of the Moorish Symbol of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Symbol of America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is the assistant Grand Sheikh in all affairs. If he or she lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and lives only before the members of the Moorish Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because it was on the Friday the first man was formed into flesh, and it was on the Friday the first man was formed, departed out of flesh and ascended to his Father God Allah. Called Friday is a holy day for Muslims all over the world. Islam. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion that may harm his brother or sister, because what? Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws. And all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization in the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to what? Obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of the said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues, keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must obey your husband. Pardon self. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure in love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. And excuse that little slip of the tongue, I just got my parts mixed up a little bit. Islam. Salvation, unity. Now's the time. This is our question and answer period, which is also known as Quran questions for Moorish Americans, also aka known as Quran questions for Moorish children, because we are the children of who? One. Who made you?
Allah.
Who's Allah?
Allah is the Father of the universe.
Can we see him?
No.
Where's the nearest place we can meet him?
In the heart.
Who is Noble Drew Ali?
He is Allah's prophet.
What is a prophet?
Prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in flesh.
What is the duty of a prophet?
To save the nations from the wrath of Allah.
Who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America?
Noble Drew Ali.
What year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
1913 AD.
Let me complete the question. Where?
Newark, New Jersey.
Where was Noble Drew Ali born?
In the state of North Carolina, 1886.
No. The state of North Carolina, 1886. What is his nationality?
Moorish American.
What is your nationality?
Moorish American.
Why are we Moorish Americans?
Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America.
For what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
For upliftment of fallen humanity.
For the uplifting of fallen humanity. Here's a question to the floor. Has humanity fallen?
Yes, very, very far down.
Islam. Another question to the floor. How has humanity fallen? Now this time I want hands raised like supposed to be and done properly. Yes.
So, first rise, we give praise to Father Allah,
So,
honors to Prophet Noble Ali, Grand Sheikhness, all honorable members of the attendance, and everything pertains to Islam and Allah.
honest to you.
Yeah. Humanity has fallen by way of forgetting who what their ancient creed is and their identity, their nationality.
Islam. Anybody else? Islam, Sister Jamila.
Arise, giving praise to Allah, honors to the Prophet Ali, honors to all the members in attendance, and honors to all the patients.
Islam, honest to you.
Humanity is fallen in the way that we've lost compassion for one another, we've lost love
Absolutely.
for one another, caring. We're burning rainforests, and we're not caring about people who are coming after us on
Islam.
a move.
Islam.
And so people are very concerned with fiat,
Islam.
more concerned with fiat than they are each other.
Islam. Sister, I'm glad you said that because our concerns is all where mundane things are at. We've lost touch out of the reality of what we really should be concerned about, love for each other. See, like you said, we don't have that compassion. We're just destroying nature, we're destroying the resources. We're not living up to that humanity code that we should be. So yes, thank you very, very much. That was pretty much where I was alluding to. Fallen humanity. How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish American?
By teaching them to be themselves.
By teaching them to be themselves. Because all one can be is what? Himself or herself. You can't be nobody else but you. But once you get in touch with you, then you already know that the self is to unfold. Islam. What is our religion? Is that a new or is that an old time religion? Why is it an old time religion? I'm asking this for my brother Bundeli Mo.
First, I give praise to Allah, honor to Noble Ali, to the Grand Sheikhs, and all that pertains to Islam. Not sure why it's an old time religion. The answer, to give it correctly.
No, just in your own, your own interpretation. It's fine. There's no wrong answer to it.
Well, it's before
Somebody's at the door.
DC.
Okay, Islam. I'm gonna take it from there. Yes, right? No. It's fine. The reason why I ask you why is it an old time religion is because the prophet said what? Return to the state of what? Your ancient forefathers' divine creed and what? Principles.
That's what I didn't know.
No. That's okay. You touched on it well enough. You just wasn't sure if it was, right or wrong. But there's no right or wrong. It's absolutely right. Return back to the state of your ancient foremothers and forefathers' divine creed and principle. The old time religion. Realign yourself back. That's what it is. Realign yourself back to those principles that made us a great people, and that will make us an even greater people as we move forward. So thank you, Brother Bundeli. 19. What kind of flag is the Moorish?
The red flag with the 5-pointed green star in the center.
What does the 5 points represent?
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
What else does the 5 points represent? I'm sure we got these scientists out there. I'm sure somebody know that.
Allah, arm, leg, arm, head.
Okay, that's one. Yes, I'm looking at you, brother. Okay, I'm just messing with you. It also represents man. You know what I'm saying? All like us representing or being the house of David. You know what I'm saying? So like it's several different roles. It leads to, yes, arm, leg, arm, and head. You know what I'm saying? East, west, north, south, back to the east. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, there's several answers. How old is our flag? It is over 50,000 years old. Right. Which is our holy day?
Friday.
Why?
Because Friday is the day on which man was formed in flesh, and it was on Friday when he departed out of flesh.
Islam. Who was Jesus?
He was the prophet of Allah.
Where was he born?
In Bethlehem of Judah, in the house of David.
Who were his father and mother?
Joseph and Mary.
Will you give, in brief, the line genealogy through which Jesus came?
Some of the great fathers through which Jesus came
are
Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary.
Islam. See that long bloodline of lineage. which we're all tied to. Why did Allah send Jesus to this earth?
To save the Israelites from the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nations of Europe who were governing a portion of Palestine at that time.
For the same reason why Allah ordained the Prophet Noble Drew Ali to redeem us from our sinful ways. Same answer. Yet we still don't seem to get it. You know what I'm saying? Brother, you mentioned something earlier about the other, more science temples being under the 501(c)(3). Well, see, that's what I'm saying. They're not, this is not to badmouth them because that's not what this is about, but it's about truth. That's why the prophet said to stick with the plan that the prophet wrote. See, because the prophet didn't write that. See, a lot of our brothers and sisters aren't following the actual true protocols. That's why we have so much division, but it's not for us to be concerned about that. We got to stick with the blueprint. This is the blueprint. I'm not concerned about them. I'm concerned about Temple number 10 and the members here. As long as we're doing what we're supposed to do, things will work out right. How long has that been?
About 2,000 years.
What is the nationality of Ruth?
Ruth was a Moabitess.
What a name for Moabites?
Moroccans.
We're the descendants of Moroccans and what?
Born in America.
Where is the Moroccan Empire?
Northwest of Mexico.
What is the modern name for a Mexim?
Africa.
Make sure I got my glasses on so I don't mix it up. What is the title given to our ruler in Morocco?
Sultan.
Where do we get the name Jesus?
From the east.
What does the name Jesus mean?
Jesus means justice.
Jesus means justice. Did the angel give to the child that was called Jesus a holy name?
Yes, but it cannot be used by those who are slaves to sin.
What is an angel?
An angel is the thought of Allah manifested in human flesh.
Angel is the thought of Allah manifested in human flesh. So that would make us what?
Angels.
What are angels used for?
To carry messages to the four corners of the world, to all nations.
Islam. What is our prophet to us?
He is an angel of Allah who was sent to bring us the everlasting gospel of Allah.
What is the everlasting gospel?
It is the saving power that comes from Allah through our ancient forefathers
by his prophet.
By his prophet. It is a saving power. That means it has the power to do what? Save. And what did the prophet say? I've given you all. You what?
Need to save yourself.
No, I gave you all it needs to take to save a nation. Now take it and do what? Right, don't put the cart before the horse, y'all. What is the covenant of the great God Allah?
Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee.
I didn't like how that sounded. Let's say that again. What is the covenant of the great God Allah?
Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee.
Islam. That's what I wanted men to hear, that conviction. At what age did Jesus begin to teach?
At the age of 12.
Where did he teach?
India, Africa, and Europe.
How long did he teach?
18 years.
What did Jesus say that will make you free?
Truth.
What is true?
Truth is ought.
What is ought?
Ought is Allah.
Can truth change?
Truth cannot change or pass away.
What other name do we give to truth?
Holy bread.
What have you to say about holy bread?
All we can say is
It is good, it was, it is, and evermore to be.
Boy, y'all look Islam. I see y'all got some fire and zest out there today, huh? Evermore to be. Amen. Amen. Ra. 52. At what place on earth was the physical part of man formed?
In the Garden of Eden,
Where's the Garden of Eden?
in the land of Canaan, in the city of Mecca.
Land of Canaan in the city of Mecca. What is the modern name for the Garden of Eden?
Mecca.
What is the name of the first physical man?
His name cannot be used only by executive rulers of the AC of the MST of A.
What are the words of the AC of the MST of A?
Adab Chamber of the Moorish Science Temple of America, third heaven.
Can anyone surmise where's that third heaven? So,
Rise with perfect praise, Allah, honest to the prophet, she is, everything is contained. One short thing is the mind.
Islam. Islam. Because a mastermind, yes, sir, brother.
That is your penile.
Islam.
Penile gland.
Islam.
Good stuff.
Because masterminds can do what? Trace themselves back. So therefore, what? Thus you know. It's your third eye, third heaven. You know what I'm saying? The kingdom of heaven is what? Within. If you were to look for heaven, where would you look? If you would look for your devil, where would you look?
Within.
Islam. Right, sister, you said that like she knows something. Who were Adam, Eve?
They are the mothers and fathers of the human family, Asiatics and Muslims.
Where did they go?
They went to Asia.
What is the modern name given to the children?
Asiatics.
Who is guarding the holy city of Mecca today? To keep brother, let me complete the question. Who is guarding the holy city of Mecca today to keep unbelievers away?
Angels.
Islam. Because see, there's a powerful spirit in responding when it's, that's right, that's right. What is the modern name for those angels?
Asiatics.
What is the shade of their skin? Are the Moorish Americans any relation to those angels?
Yes. We all have the same father and mother.
Boy, y'all sound like a beautiful chorus out there. Give 5 names that are given to the descendants of Adam and Eve.
Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast.
Now that's 5, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Still 5, right? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, but this time in what? Reverse. What is the devil sometimes called?
The lower self.
Wow. Now 5 and 2 is what?
7.
What a prophet is. Awesome. Took the 5 lower selves and added the 2, it still amount to 7. What is the lower self sometimes called? What is the devil sometimes called?
Lower self.
Islam. How many selves are there?
2.
Name them.
Higher self and lower self.
What people represent the higher self?
The angels who protect the holy city of Mecca.
So then what people represent the lower self?
Those who were cast out of the holy city and those who accept their teaching.
So that would be fair to say by being African American and black, you are cast out. Am I correct? Yeah, because you can't enter the holy city being black, African American, Negro, etc. Those who accept their teachings. What is the higher self?
The higher self is the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life that breeds justice, mercy, love, and right.
Can the high self pass away?
No,
Why?
because it is Allah in man.
What does the lower self breed?
Hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, death, and everything that harms.
And everything that harms. We actually harm ourselves each and every day. Each and every time we acquiesce to call ourselves names that our forefathers never called themselves. So therefore we breed hatred amongst ourselves, lewdness, murders, and all of the above. What did the higher self say to the lower self at one time when he met him?
Where are you going, Satan?
What was the answer that the lower self gave to the higher self?
I am going to and fro the earth, seeking whom I may devour.
To and fro the earth, seeking whom I may devour. Well, has he finished his task of devouring?
Yes.
When was his time declared out?
When he nailed Jesus to the cross.
What were the last words Jesus uttered?
It is finished.
What did he have reference to?
He had reference to the end of Satan.
Did Jesus say he would return to conquer him?
Yes.
Well, then what is the name of the person into whom Jesus was first reincarnated?
Prophet Muhammad the Conqueror.
Was Satan to be bound then?
Satan was to be bound in parts.
When was the head of Satan taken off?
1453 Byzantine.
By whom?
By Muhammad.
Name some of the marks that were put upon the Moors of Northwest by the European nations in 1774.
Negro, black, colored, and Ethiopian.
Now, every time I hear this, it takes me to George Washington's famous quote on that day. He said, I hope I have it all right. If not, I'll paraphrase most of it. He said, if we would remove the turban and feathers from these Moors' heads and the sandals from off their feet, in 200 years, they wouldn't know who they are, or from which they come, or which land that they're on, or anything of their forefathers' teachings. And we shall call them black and Negro. Now, see, now, if you recall the Grand Sheik, he didn't speak on the George Washington part, but he spoke on those terms Negro and black. How significant they are. They played a role then and they play a role now. Yes, sir.
And it's amazing because he was pretty much right. There's a portion of us that know, but for the most part, a greater portion of us have no idea.
Exactly. George Washington called it right on the head, but this is why the prophet came along in 1886 to reopen the eyes of the Asiatics. You know what I'm saying? After he started the Moorish Science Temple in 1913, the prophet came to undo what was done. Because as the prophet said, I've been through the South and I've examined the conditions of my people, and it's them practicing customs and religions that are not their own. Is the reason why they're in this up until this day. We're still practicing customs and religions and sayings that are not us. We're defending that Black and African American stuff to no end. So you're right, brother Boone Deli, and most of the ones who do know, those are the gatekeepers. And they're being paid to keep you behind the gate. Don't want to let you out of that gate. Thank you, Brother Boone Deli. Negro.
Negro, a name given to a river in West Africa by Moors because it contained black water.
Now, see, West Africa and Northwest of Mexico. See, so there is. So see, this continent that we're currently on is Northwest of Mexico, aka North America. See, it can't change from what it is. It's just been reinitiated as a corporate construct. So that would be correct in calling America a country within the continents. but I'm not going to get deep into that. I'm just going to continue. What is meant by the word black?
Black, according to science, means death.
So you're walking around dead. Every time you call yourself black and African American, you're dead. Plain and simple. You're dead. You're mentally and spiritually dead. So you're acting on pure emotions. No reasoning. You can't. You're a stateless person. You have no state. So therefore, you're subject to all abuses that the citizens care to bestow upon you anytime that you refuse to recognize who you are. Mainly who you're not. What does the word colored mean?
Colored means anything that has been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed.
So have you been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed? I hear them saying constantly, people of color. What do you mean people of color? There's no such thing as people of color. There's no people that look like a rainbow. I never seen any. And like all of my 7 years, I've never seen any. Now you figure it out. I know he did already, so I'm not gonna mess with him. Yes, sir. Well, Islam more, but I'm not a grand sheik, but I like appreciate it. You can stand, brother. Islam. Islam.
When we were speaking of before about death in law, it's called civil
litter-more-tuus. Dead in the eyes of the law. This is why they could do whatever they want to black and African American people and not be penalized for it, because you fall up under the Dred Scott case of what? 1857, which still lies true to today. And the Christian Black Codes, Rex 84 plan, name it what you want. There's several names. Can a man be a Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian?
No.
Why?
Because man is made in the image and after the likeness of God Allah.
What title does Satan give himself?
God.
God.
You define the word white.
White means purity, purity means God, and God means the ruler of the land.
So you know it couldn't be them. Excuse me, young people, please. Thank you. I love y'all. Thank you very much. To whom do we refer at times as being the great God?
Allah.
Is the devil made in the image and likeness of Allah?
No. He is a shadow of our lower selves and will pass away.
That's why he hates us so much, because we're so great. We really illuminate from within and without, whether we are aware of it or not. That's why he still hates us so much. They say, well, why do y'all bebop or you walk in rhythm? We walk in rhythm with nature. We've always been one with nature. That's why we move the way we move. You know what I'm saying? It's not no hip walk. That's how we walk, because that's the way nature dictates it. Now, you know, no pun intended. Have y'all watched how they walk? They walk in kind of way, totally aimlessly. Yeah. The house where Krishna is not in. Who made the devil? Who is Elohim?
Elohim is the seven creative spirits that created everything that ever was, is, and ever more to be.
What is Elohim sometimes called?
The seven eyes of Allah.
How many days are there in a circle?
7 days.
How many days are there in a creation?
7 days.
According to science, how many days are there in a year?
7 days.
Now, before I yield, I'm gonna call up you know, a couple of brothers. I'm let them give a couple of. I'm let them give us a piece of their mind from the lessons, of course. And of course, I call this class all law. So, because this is what we are dealing with. So before I do that, I'm going to read a passage. I feel that's very appropriate. Chapter 31, the holy instructions from the prophet on justice. I didn't say the page, I just said the chapter because I know each book has its own page. So I won't say what page it's on. I just give you the chapter. 3XI. So once we have it, let me hear you say Islam. Holy instructions from the prophet on justice. Because this seems to be the order of the day, justice. All law. Number one, the peace of society depended on what? Justice. And the happiness of individuals on what? The safe enjoyment, rather, of all of their possessions. So therefore, keep the desires of thy heart, therefore, within the boundaries of moderation, and let the hand of justice lead them aright. Don't be doing this with the left hand and doing this with the right hand and call it just. Don't say that you're practicing more science, but you're practicing more science up under the 5013C. Then you're practicing the Pope science. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, just how it is. And it's no offense. I respect the Pope. I respect any man of the cloth. I'm talking about because each one is free to worship on their own bound in fig tree. So please don't think I'm speaking radical, just the truth. All law. Cast not an evil eye on the goods of thy neighbor. Let whatever is his property be sacred to thy touch. Keep your hands to yourself. Keep your desires to yourself. Bless you, sister. Let no temptation allure thee, nor any provocation excite thee to lift up thy hand to the hazard of his life. Defame him not of his character. Bear no false witness against him. Don't be backbiting. Don't be throwing shade on your brother or your sister behind their back to another brother or your sister. Keep that to yourself. Or confront them if you must confront. Be adults about it. Because there's too much of that going on, even as we speak, and it needs to cease. Islam, young people, come on now. Islam, young people. Yes. Yes. Oh, okay. All right. You have me all hyped up. Defame him not in his character, bear no false witness against him or her. Corrupt not his servant to cheat or forsake him, and the wife of his bosom, tempt not to sin. 7, it will be a grief to his heart which thou canst not relieve, an injury to his life which no reparation can atone. In thy dealings with men, be impartial and just, and do unto them as thou wouldest they do unto thee. Be faithful to thy trust, and deceive not the man who relieth upon thee. Be assured, it is less evil in the sight of Allah to steal than to betray. Oppress not the poor, defraud not of his hire the laboring man. when thou sellest for gain, hear the whispering of conscience. As you said, Sister Jamila, compassion. That's what this passage is saying. And be satisfied with moderation, nor from the ignorance of thy buyer take advantage. Show compassion, even though you know they don't know what they did is what it's worth. You know what it's worth to have them do it for you. Be fair and just in how you repay them. Don't take advantage of them not knowing, or you keep 90% and give them 10%. Well, that sounds like ties, huh? Well, we ain't gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. I didn't hear you, Brother Pundelli.
It sounds like a corporate give it to me.
Oh, yes, it is a corporate give it to me. It's a corporate give it all to me. Pay the debts which thou owest, for he who gave thee credit relieth upon thine honor, and to withhold from him his due is both mean and unjust. Finally, O son of society, examine thy heart, call remembrance to thy aid, and if in any of these thou hast transgressed, make a speedy reparation to the utmost of thy power. Islam? Now, this time, I hope you're ready. I'm gonna call up first. I'm gonna call up Brother Flango Bay. He's going to exercise his five senses. I'm asking that you be, time conscious.
Islam, Morris. Peace and love. First I rise and I give all praises to Allah, the Father of the universe. Give honors to Noble Drew Ali. Give honors to the Moorish flag. Honors to the American flag. Give our ancestors. Give honors to the Grand Sheikh, the Sheikhs, all Sheikhs and Sheikhs. And give honors to all the members and everyone here. And honors to everything pertaining to Islam. Islam. Okay, Morris. I'm gonna go over chapter 10 from the Holy Quran in Moorish Science Temple of America, entitled Jesus spake on the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. I'll just give y'all a little bit of time so I can get to the chapter. It's chapter number 10. Islam. All right. Okay. Before we go into chapter number 10, I'm just going to say a few brief words on this chapter right here, chapter 3, Elohu's lessons, the unity of life. Ayat 8. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. So we know we have two things. We have the lower self, which is an illusion, and it will pass away. And then we have the higher self, which is Allah in man and will not pass away. And we know that man means mind. All right. So now see this one. So in the the holy
instructions, we have a part with 20 from the same chapter, the unity of life. This evil is a myth. These gods are made of air, clothed with shadows of a thought. Shadows of a thought.
Chapter 10.
This is what I'm reading from is number chapter 3.
Oh, chapter.
I'm gonna go back to chapter 10. That's what the lesson I'm gonna do, but I just wanted to bring this out before I go right into that chapter. So this is in chapter 3, ayat 20. This evil is a myth. These gods are made of air, clothed with shadows of a thought. Right? So we just went over the questionnaire, and in the questionnaire, question number 95, it says, is the devil made in the image and likeness of Allah?
No.
No. He's a shadow of our lower selves and will pass away. So the devil is a shadow of our lower self. So the lower self is even more prominent than the devil, because it says it's the shadow of the lower self. So that means that if it's the shadow of something, that means it's not the actual thing. It's but just a shadow of it. Islam.
If it is a shadow, it is just a reflection.
Islam.
So that's like when you cast a mirror up to the sun, you just get a reflection of its rays. That's
Islam.
not the actuality.
Yes. Islam. Thank you.
Never pass away.
So that's why I brought that up. No, he is the shadow of our lower selves and will pass away. That's a fact. So now we're going to chapter 10. Well, y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Islam. Jesus spake on the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. So this goes right back into that. That Allah and man are one. So Benares is the sacred city of the Brahms. And in Benares, Jesus taught. U.A. was his host. U.A. made a feast in honor of his guests, and many high-born Hindu priests and scribes were there. And Jesus said to them, with much delight, I speak to you concerning life, the brotherhood of life. So he's trying to make all of them come together, because if this is a brotherhood, then I don't want to just say like I'm speaking on one aspect. I'm speaking on all of us being one, saying the brotherhood of life. Yeah, everyone is joined by cords, right? The universal Allah is one, yet he is more than one. All things are one. By the sweet breath of Allah, all life is bound in one. So if you touch a fiber of a living thing, you send a thrill from the center to the outer bounds of life. And when you crush beneath your foot the meanest worm, you shake the throne of Allah and cause the sword of life to tremble in its sheath. So the sword of life is I can say two things: truth, and I would say justice, symbolically. So now you thinking you're gonna do something to someone, and then think nothing is gonna happen to you in return. But Jesus is teaching us that, and when you crush beneath your foot the meanest worm, even though it looks like it look like it's ugly, and how people say, look at this nasty looking thing, and you crush the meanest looking worm, you shake the throne of Allah. And where's the nearest place we can find Allah?
In the heart.
In the heart. So if you're doing that, you're doing harm to yourself.
That's right.
Because it's within the heart. Allah is within the heart. So the sword of life to tremble in its sheath. So now you're making the whole spectrum of life, which is Allah's record book, look bad. Because now in those Akashic records, it's gonna come back around. So now that shouldn't be put out into the ethers. That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be done or put into the ethers. The bird sings out its song for men, and men vibrate in unison to help it sing. So off of the bird singing, the bird for us to hear the bird, we exist and it vibrates off of us so that we can hear the sound of the bird. So if we wasn't around, it would be something different. That vibration. The ant constructs her home, the bee is sheltering comb, the spider weaves her web, and flowers breathe to them a spirit in their sweet perfume that gives them strength to toil. So it's basically saying, you have both. You have Allah and you have man. But remember, man is not the body nor the soul. He's the spirit and is the thought of Allah. So that's why it's saying these two things, it's comparing two things and saying these two things are together so that, it's oneness, but even though they're two things that are in the different planes or different ethers. Now men and birds and beasts and creeping things are deities made flesh. And how dare men kill anything?
That's right.
Because remember, man means mind. It's not the physical. So it's mind over matter. Matter is physical. Mind is spiritual. Okay. It is cruelty that makes the world ori.
That's right.
When men have learned that when they harm a living thing, they harm themselves, they surely will not kill, nor cause a thing that Allah has made to suffer pain. That's deep. That's deep because we make people suffer pain all the time. Hurting children or fighting, all type of stuff that we go through in this life. A lawyer said, I pray to Jesus. Tell who is this Allah you speak about? Where are his priests, his temples, and his shrines? And Jesus said, the Allah I speak about is everywhere. He cannot be compassed with walls, nor hedged about with bounds of any kind. And in chapter 12, chapter 12, talks about eternal happiness, that men make their own heaven. So, instead of us, having a reality as if we have to go somewhere and meet God or meet Allah, we have Allah within.
That's right.
Because that's where we find our Allah and within. And that's where we find our devil. It is cruelty to make the And Jesus said, Allah I speak about is everywhere. So everywhere you look, everything you do, that's Allah. Because Allah is one. He cannot be compassed with walls nor hedged about with bounds of any kind. Heaven is not a place of meets and bounds. Heaven is a state of mind. It's not a place where you can go. It's a mind. It's in the mind. All people worship Allah, the one. But all the people see him not alike. The universal Allah is wisdom. Because in chapter 1, it says right here. In chapter 1, it says the universal Allah is wisdom. It says it right here. Here now, or everything that is, or was, or evermore will be, for wisdom speaks from out of the highest plane of spirit life. That's how you know Allah's wisdom, will, and love. Allah, the universal Allah is wisdom, will, and love. So when he say universal law, we know we're talking about everything. So all these men is worshiping Allah in different ways, but Allah is one. So they worshiping in their way under their vine and fig tree, and we worshiping in ours. All men see not the triune Allah. One sees him as a law of might, another as a law of thought, another as a law of love. And man's ideal is his God, and so as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Man's God today, tomorrow is not God. The nations of the earth see Allah from different points of view, and so he does not seem the same to everyone. Because remember, man means mind. And then they have us thinking that man means our physical carnal self, our physical body. They have us thinking that man means our physical carnal self. So that's why man says, he said, the nations of the earth see Allah from different points of view. And so he does not seem the same to everyone. Man names the part of Allah he sees, and this to him is all of Allah. And every nation sees a part of Allah. Every nation sees a part of Allah. And every nation has a name for Allah. You Brahms call him Parabram. Parabram, thank you. In Egypt, he is Thoth or Thoth. And Zeus is his name in Greece. Jehovah is his Hebrew name. But everywhere he is the causeless cause, the rootless root from which all things have grown. Allah threw forth his seed, and then man grew apace. So we had to perfect ourselves. You know, Justice had to perfect himself, but he was ordained to come first, and then his mother had to be considered hence, so that he would be able to get the fruitness, the fruit, the seed of Allah. So he was in the sacred groves getting taught. When men are afraid of Allah and take him for a foe, they dress up other men in fancy garbs and call them priests. And this is why they fear the priests and not Allah. And charge them to restrain the wrath of Allah. Please help us restrain this wrath of Allah. Because with y'all, we do things like sacrifice and say, oh, this is for Allah, and Allah is going to bless everything because of that. Because we're doing the sacrifice. And charge them to restrain the wrath of Allah by prayers, and when they fail to win his favor by their prayers, to buy him off with sacrifice of animals and birds. When man sees Allah as one with him, how could he kill? How could he do these kind of things? When a man sees Allah as one with him, as Father Allah, he needs no middleman to intercede. No priest to intercede. None. You don't need a priest to intercede. But they're leaning on the priest's understanding. He goes straight up to him and says, my Father, God Allah. And then he lays his hand in Allah's hand, and all is well. Islam. And this is Allah. This is Allah. So if you don't put your hand in Allah's hand to make sure that all is well, then you're worshiping a God outside yourself. Islam. And we know wisdom is the consciousness of the art. To know that you have a higher self and you have a lower self. And it's all in man. Within the mind. Just, let me see. And Allah, and this Allah, you are each one. And this Allah, and this is Allah upon himself, and this is Allah, you are each one a priest, just for yourself. Islam. And sacrifice of blood Allah does not want. Just give your life in sacrificial service to all of life. To all of life. And Allah is pleased. When Jesus had thus said, he stood aside. The people were amazed, but strove among themselves. So now they started thinking, Some said he inspired the Holy Brahm, and others said he is insane, and others said he is obsessed. He speaks as devil speaks. But Jesus tarried not, and among the guests was one, a tiller of the soil, a generous soul, a seeker after truth, who loved the words that Jesus spoke, and Jesus went with him and in his home abode. Islam. Islam. That's all I wanted to
That was beautiful.
and I say peace to that.
Peace.
Islam. Oh, Islam. Matter of fact, there's one thing that I didn't show that I found that I wanted to show to the Moors. Just a real quick 2 paragraphs. A book about 1,000 things. I found this in a library. I think I paid 25 cents for it. It says, why are the Muslims in the Philippines called Moros? Why are they called Moros, y'all? Moro is simply the Spanish form of Moor. The Moros are about 500,000 Filipinos, spelled with an F, living on Mindanao, second largest island in the Philippines, and on the Sulu Jolo archipelago, which comprises several hundred islands stretching towards the Borneo. They were called Moros by the early Spaniards because they resembled the Moors of North Africa in being dark in complexion and Muslim in religion. The Spanish conquerors of the Philippines had just succeeded in expelling the Moors from Spain, and they regarded the Muslim inhabitants of Mindanao, of the Suli archipelago, as natural enemies. So we were their natural enemies. The Moros were converted to Islam by Muslim missionaries. Sound like somebody you know? On the back of our affidavits? Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, the Moros were converted to Islam by Muslim missionaries from India in the 15th and 16th century. Although the Moros are not uniform in race and they speak various languages, they are chiefly a Malay stock with a sprinkling of Arab blood. The Moros in British Borneo are similar to those in the Philippines. When the Spanish arrived on the scene, the Sulu Moros had engaged in piracy and regarded it as an honorable occupation for centuries. Berbers. Their vintas, fishing boats, hewn from single long logs, were vessels of workmanship of efficiency. The Zulus were good workers in metal and made excellent steel spears, knives, and hatchets used to their fierce warriors. They are devout Muslims, and they attach their ancient feudal customs. Even the United States found it practical to bribe the Sulu sultans with pensions to try to subdue their governable tribesmen, which was the Moors. It is not until April 1940 that the Princess Haji Payandao, last Sultana of Sulu, niece and adopted daughter of Sultan Jamal Kiram II of Sulu, transferred legal ownership of hundreds of islands in the Sulu archipelago to the Commonwealth of the Philippines and abandoned the ancient right of her family to govern in the inhabitants. The present Sultan of Sulu is only spiritual and de facto ruler of the Moros.
Wow.
Islam.
Islam.
That was very well done. Because we are the children of what? One father, right? And one breast of one mother has given what? Ye suck. So I will say this before I call up the next speaker in addition to what your lesson was about being one with Allah. Man is mind, spiritual mind. Because with the brain, the soul was formed. So we're not the brain, not the soul. Man is mind. Masterminds and trace themselves back. Spirit, man, and Allah is what? One. And before I call up the next speaker, I want to just say this explicitly because it's very important that we drill this in our heads, that the citizens of all free national what? Governments, according to what? Their national constitution, are all of one family bearing what? One free national name. And those who what? Failed to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as what? So stop being Black, African American. Those are undesirable names that our forefathers and ancestors never called themselves. Now, with that, I'm going to call up Brother Nawiel. He says he has a lesson. I am itching to hear what the lesson is going to be about because he's a studious young man. So at this time, we're going to call my brother Nawiel up to the podium.
Islam.
And as I said, be respectful to the time. Islam. Praise Allah. Takbir. 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 Islamism.
Islamism. Before I do anything, first I would like to rise, giving praises to the Most High, the Most Highest of the highest, most divine living source of life, who we refer to as Allah. Honors to his noble prophet, noble Joe Ali. Honors to the forerunner, Marcus Garvey. Honors to our temple, temple number 10. Honor to the Grand Sheikh of this temple, Nature El Bey. Honors to the Sheikhess Nika El Bey. Honors to all the Bays and L's in attendance today. Honors to everybody online. Honors to everything pertaining to Islam. Islam. Thank you. So I'm going to start with chapter 26. I'm just going to be going back and forth from different point of view, dealing with what the prophet brought us. And with chapter 26, I'm just going to read the first key where the prophet gave us the instructions on unity. And we know that our prophet was divinely prepared, and he came to give us the everlasting gospel of Allah, which is the saving power. So I'm going to be going back and forth, so y'all bear with me with the literature. So I'm going to read chapter 26 in our Circle 7 Quran. And this is dealing with the instructions of unity. And key number 1, it speaks of the gifts of the understandings are the treasures of Allah. And he appointed to everyone his portion in what measure seems good unto himself. So when I read that, actually, that's one of my favorite chapters in the Quran. When I read that, I'm like, wow, I never knew understanding to be a gift. Because we know that when we talk about sense, most people think sense is not common, but it is. When we talk about sense, we talking about just you knowing wrong from right, or knowing good from evil, or you knowing yourself. So the prophet brought us a holy instruction saying that understanding is a treasure. So we supposed to take in mind and heed the things that the holy prophet brought. Not only that we was bestowed with from our creator. So our creator gave us understanding as a treasure, and we supposed to be able to exercise each and every portion that we were given as far as our will, what we are capable of. And it seems like when it comes to us learning about what the prophet brought, there's brothers and sisters, I'm not calling out anybody, I'm just saying in general, that don't really want to study what the prophet brought us, because we think that the prophet was just a man and he don't have no say so in what we do in our ascension. But we know that a prophet, what is the thought of Allah manifest in flesh? And in the prophet oral statements, he spoke about his words that he speak to us were spirit. And he said that we should always take heed to the words he speak, because he know that he was divinely prepared. He was sent. So that being said, I'm gonna read from the Biblios Helios, which is the Bible dealing with Revelation. And this revelation I'm about to read is Revelation chapter 6, verse 1 through 2. And I don't have any specific versions, so I'm just going to read one of the versions.
That's okay.
This version I'm going to read is the King James.
It's long.
So the King James version of Revelation chapter 6.
Really.
Oh, you have it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks. I didn't even know you had it.
I decided, man, to bring the Bible with me today. To bring my Masonic Bible.
Give thanks. So the King James read Revelation. And we know revelation means revealing, right? And the prophet taught us in chapter 2, chapter 2, that in Allah's book of records, that we able to go back in time, thus we know. So we could always go into studying and knowing things, because the gifts were the treasure that Allah gave us. So we able to trace ourselves back, and thus we know. So in chapter 6 of Revelation, I'm gonna read. And I saw when the Lamb opened up the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Right? The brothers just came up and spoke, and you hear some of the brothers spoke about how who was the name that the prophet first reincarnated into, who Jesus first reincarnated in. We said Muhammad, and we spoke about 1453 Byzantine, when Muhammad the Conqueror came and chopped the head off of Satan. And we know that the pale horse, the white horse, represents purity, and those that's supposed to be the true sovereigns of the land. And we know that the Moors had the title to the land, holding down the true nobility of being the lords on this plane of existence. So we speak about the circle 7 that was given to us. And this circle 7 bear a seal on it. And this seal, the prophet says, is the seal of perfected man. So I'm going to read from, this is the Moorish literature, chapter 25. And this is dealing with the masterpiece, the title of this literature. If you don't have it in your Moorish guide, you should try to get the Moorish literature. Remember, we dealing with the gift of the understanding being the treasure of the law. So I made it my duty to get like literature on the prophet, stuff that's dealing with our teachings. So I'm just building and sharing with the brothers and sisters today. So this particular piece was divinely prepared by our noble prophet, and it's titled Masterpiece of Religious Literature, Secrets of Other Creeds Revealed. And this was prepared on Friday, December 15, 1928. The Prophet Noble Jew Ali has spent many hours preparing the latest edition of the Quran. So we know that the Quran that we have is divinely prepared for the Muslim here in America. Because if you read the beginning of our Circle 7 Quran, it spoke of that the reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed these secrets. And for the first time in ages have these secrets been delivered in the hands of the Muslims in America. So the Prophet brought us our version of Islam, if you want to follow. So the Prophet read, which will be the masterpiece of religious literature to Americanize the Oriental idea of Islam, involves many changes that are more or less negative to the main purpose of the Islamic religion. Such changes are carefully considered with idea to avoid changing the complexion of the original text. So the Prophet basically saying truth don't change, nor does it pass away. So your literature have to reflect your culture, your life, where you stand in your present society. The philosophies of the ancient prophets is the main initiative in the compilation of the Quran. No thoughts of propaganda entered in this work, as been the case of many former religious works, such as the Bible and other books of creeds. So the reason why the Prophet is mentioning that other religious works had propaganda is because other people was misusing the lessons. Remember, the Prophet taught us that what? Their fathers, by these lessons, you can what? Set your household in order, and your children will learn to love instead of hate. And it says, their readers do not falsely use these lessons, of course, because they are for what? Good, peace, and happiness for all those who love justice, love Jesus. The sole purpose of the Prophet in giving such a message to the world is to save fallen humanity. When a compiler attempts to inject propaganda into a work of this kind, there arises a need to cover the true text in order to prevent a clash with the truth and ideas involve such propaganda. Formal works of this kind have either hindered or helped the nations proportionally to be adherents to the truth as to the original purpose of keeping the ignorant in such a state. And we know that when we speak of ignorance, it's like basically those that don't consider to even know what they have to know. Because we just spoke about the gift of the understanding. So if you over here calling yourself something you're not, that's you being ignorant. Because if man was made in the image and the likeness of our Father, our Creator, which is the higher power, which is God, which is Allah, why would you call yourself something that you're not? Islam?
Islam.
It is hard to resist the temptation to use this medium for gain. You see that? Because a lot of people know what this holds. So we know that religion represents law, order, and government principles. And the Romans capitalized off religion. They was able to establish Christendom under the Emperor Constantine. And they had Unum Sanctum that was given out by the Pope that says only the Roman Catholic Church could have dominion on the land. So they went around conquering anybody that was not teaching what they would like as far as religious beliefs, or your spirituality. So they conquered. Hence, many of the former treaties on works of this kind have been the means to foster ideas of unscrupulous scrupulous within these desires to use religious influence for gain, like what I just said. The many secrets known to the prophet that could be used for the salvation of the nation were either left out, colored to an extent that their meanings was made void. And that's what they did when they transliterated the ancient text into modern English. They watered down the true teachings of our original prophets that brought these teachings for the upliftment of fallen humanity. Islam. Such is not the case with this edition of the Quran, the Circle 7 Quran. It's not the case because the prophet divinely prepared it, so it won't be any propaganda towards what we teach as Moors. All the secrets of the ages known to man are put in this work. You hear that? All the secrets of the ages are known to man, are put into this work. The secrets known only to the Magi's. Remember, when man fear Allah, he dressed man up as a what? Priest, and charge him to what? Take away their sins. But when man know that he could go straight to Allah, he don't have no middleman. Because we are all priests unto ourselves if you know your gift of understanding. Islam are here revealed. The reading of the stars. Wow. The reading of the stars are in our Quran. The interpretation of marriage relations. You hear that? Because we know that man can't marry man, right?
That's right.
Because only Allah could bind two in one, right? Islam. The understanding of the span of life. The understanding of the span of life. And we got that from chapter 17, if I'm not mistaken, dealing with Yeshua when he came back and he brought the principle that we were supposed to be able to learn the chemistry of life. And we supposed to learn about the mysteries of death and the ministry of death and the mysteries of deific life. Islam. The span of life and others such as has been kept from the Occidental world are in this book boldly brought out. You hear that? And that word Occidental, I would like somebody to look that word up, please. Occidental is OCCID. And when you get it, just say Islam, please. So he basically saying that this is kept from the Occidental world. You mind rising? Exercise that vocal cord. Thank you, sister. Unity.
Unity, thank you. Occidental, adjective, relating to the countries of the West. It has an example. An Asian challenge to Occidental dominance. Noun, a native or inhabitant of the West.
You hear that? So he's basically saying we didn't have no idea about none of these teachings over here. That's what the prophet said. He came to brought us back our vast estate, our title to what we forgot. And if we know that man is mine and back through time, we could trace ourselves back. Thus we know. And in Allah's book of records, there's not a word missing. Nothing is lost. Because if we could trace ourselves back, thus we know, all we got to do is go back into these records. Islam.
Islam.
The Quran, Americanized. Quran spells Koran. Americanized as it will be, can be bought in a few weeks, right? It will be sent to all governors of the Moorish Science Temple of America by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So the Prophet brought us our keys. So with this, I'm going to read from a record dealing with the seven and what the circle seven represent from an adept perspective dealing with the Prophet Yeshua, Justice Emmanuel Bey. Islam. So this is the silent brother from the East. This is chapter 14. And the title of this chapter is Jesus received a mystic name and number and passed the first brotherhood test. Verse 7. Okay. Pardon yourself. So I read chapter 7 then, if y'all don't mind. Islam. Chapter 7, verse 7. Keep it verse 7. So chapter 7. The friendship of Jesus and Lamas. Jesus explained to Lamas the meaning of truth. Among the priests of Dragonot was one who loved the Jewish boy. Lamas Brahmas was the name of which the priest was known. One day, as Jesus and Lamas walked alone in Plaza Dragonot, Lamas said, "My Jewish master, what is truth?" And Jesus said, "Truth is the only thing that changes not. In all the world, there are two things. The one is truth, the other is falsehood. And falsehood, that which seems to be. Now, truth is aught and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. Falsehood is not, and yet it is the manifest of right. Whatever has been made will be unmade. That which begins must end." So if the prophet taught us that man is not the flesh, not the body, nor the soul, but man is the spirit and a part of Allah, can man pass away?
No.
Islam. All things that can be seen by human eyes are manifest of aught or not, and so must pass away. The things we see are but reflex, just appearing, while the ethers vibrate so and so. And when conditions change, they disappear. The holy breath is truth, is that which was and is and evermore shall be. It cannot pass, it cannot change nor pass away. So if the prophet is bringing us this consciousness from the East, and we studying our Moorish literature and the Moorish guide, it would keep us in vibratory rate with the harmonies of life. That way we could maintain our dominion here as our earthly salvation, and we could also move on to higher form of life with our divine salvation. With that, I say Islam. I yield the floor. Study your Moorish Quran. Peace.
Islam, Mo. Islam. Thank you, Brother Nawi. Islam family,
Islam.
you who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those who know law. What's the name of the class today? Yeah, that too. But what did I give the title? All law, which is the civics of our what? Social duties. And he says, ask in a favorable, ask in an intelligent tone, and you will receive what? Favorable reply. Because he said, I love my people, right? And I desire that their unity in mind back to their own free national and divine standard. Because day by day, they have been what? Violating the national and constitutional laws of their government. So see, we have to return back to the state of our what? Ancient foremothers and forefathers, what? Divine creed and principles. Now I like the lesson that you came from. It takes me to this before I yes, sir.
I want to, if I may, ask a question at this time.
Yes, you may.
Appreciate the lesson this week. But we last week we spoke on something on the feminine energy that prior to lesson starting this morning, this afternoon, we want to ask I want to ask the question in class. So this is the right time. I would like to present that question.
I remember you mentioning it. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, so we spoke on in regards to feminine energy being the moon.
Right.
And then my question is revolved around feminine energy and man, say as far as us acquiring the information and knowledge of our lessons, allowing that to impregnate us and transform us into our true self. And brother, you said you would expound on that.
Well, I'll expound on it to a point. Yes, I will. Well, the cord that binds you, right, is the umbilical cord. As we got our feds, has the umbilical cord. We can't be bound, but we are still bound to our mother and father, with she being one of both energies, masculine and feminine. I'm talking about because he is also her is also he. They're interchangeable. That's why the prophet would use he and man and he and womb man. And that's why on the back of this Moorish guide, he's holding the female in his arm. Written across her body is the unity of Ham or humanity. We all need to learn to love instead of hate. See, I'm talking about that feminine energy. I'm talking about, see, when people hear that, they think it's about female. No, it's the energy in itself. I'm talking about, it's not male or female, but it is feminine because all things in nature are feminine. So we have a belly button that the cord was bound to. Then it was cut so that we could take the journey into life and to honor what? Thy mother and thy father, what? That thy days that belong on the earth land, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. I hope I made it clear. Okay. Now, before I close, yes? Yes, sir, brother. I can't hear you, brother.
That physical energy
Right.
has been also divided with that into
Islam.
that energy spiritually, esoterically, still connected
Absolutely.
to the spiritual realm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I like Allah and man are one, all law. That's why I named the class all law, even though we know it's civics, but we just don't want to just leave it at just that, because it's the length, angle, and width of civics. Religious controversy, that's what we are up against in these days and times. In this age, there's still much religious controversy as to the right thing. Big and powerful ministers have come to the conclusion that something is wrong. Some say it is the Ten Commandments. Others say it is a lack of sincerity in the purpose of the churches. Still others think it is all worthless and not fit for the time it takes to attend them. However, whatever their final decision might be, it is certain they will make a change, or rather try to make one. The fact of the matter is that they have always had only a reflection of the truth. Now this is getting into you speaking about the priests and the different doctrines being taught by different houses. I don't want to speak, rude about anyone's house, but the religious controversy and dogma has been taught to our people, and this is what we basically fall for, rather than to hear what the real truth is about realigning yourself back. I'm not speaking about pseudo religion, I'm speaking about religion. There's a difference between religion and pseudo religion, which teaches of dogma.
Islam.
The fact of the matter is that they only have had only a reflection of the truth, and not the real thing of a facsimile thereof. Like one who holds up to the sun a mirror and casts a few of its diverted rays in a different direction, so that they are so have they done with the truth that is supposed to have come from the east. The devil is a what? Shadow of our lower selves, and what? Pass away. There are but few people who know what the truth is. You speak about the Magi's,
Islam.
about man, and that few know that it is foolish to try to impart it to the ignorant. Because see, many are called, but the chosen are few. It's the chosen few is going to get the job done, not the many that's called, because some are ignorant because they want to be. They don't want to hear the truth. The truth is too stern. Although the ignorant has finished college, he is a fool right on. Being trained to jump through a hoop, the longer he stays in the schools, the better he can jump. Oh yeah, I got my BA, got my MBA, my master's, and etc. But you have all things except for the knowledge of your own ignorance. And the more vivid will he defend his jumping. From the east does come all light, but though the sun is hanging at high noon, now see, they say that the prophet wasn't this, he didn't know about that. Probably didn't know about Mason, probably didn't know about the prophet is an Adam. So nobody speaks of high noon, but what? Yeah, like I thought. The blind cannot see. The same as the Islamic creed from the East was brought to the Asiatics of America by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and offered to those who were sick at heart, tired tried for many years, yet they are blind and cannot see the light. Prophet said, I've been through the South and examined what the conditions of my people, and it's what them practicing religions and customs that are not their own. Nor is the prophet trying to put new wine into old skins. Well, see, you can't impart it to the ignorant. It's old skins. They're not trying to hear it. For he knows that it will burst them. Still, he has the only remedy for the nations, not just the Asiatics, for the entire nation, of people of all hues, all complexions. So, see one cannot accuse our prophet of being biased. He said we all need to what? Learn to love instead of hate. The remedy brought by Jesus, Muhammad, Confucius, and all other prophets, which remedy is truth. So see, he's giving honor to all the prophets came before them, Enoch and so forth. The nations do not want the truth. They don't. It is too stern. But until they accept it and find out where it is, there will continue to be religious controversy. With that, I yield. I said yes. Okay, at this time, I was about to yield, but now I'm going to call up the Sheikhs of the temple, Sheikhs Nika.
Islam.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Islam. Just bring this down a little bit. Islam, first and foremost, I rise and give praises to Allah, the big God of the universe. Honors to His noble divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Give honor to the former and these days, Marcus Messiah Garvey. I give honors to the Moorish Science Temple of America, its officers, its members. I give honor to our children. I give honor to our members, Grand Sheikh here, Lord Noble H.L. Bay. Give honor to spirits known, unknown, seen and unseen. Give honor to where honor is due. I give honors to all deities. Islam.
Islam.
Islam. I want to say that I'm honored to be in this space at this time with everyone. These are trying hours. Prophet said, dear Moors, and there are evil spirits moving out. They are trying every weak mind to tear down and drag out the truth that was laid by him, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So I'm honored to still be standing in his place, in his temple, in honor of him, doing the great work of this day, which is nationality, which is the order of the day. And at this time, it is the highest order that man is seeking to restore the rights of the people. The rights to the people that have been misled, that have been misused, abused, imprisoned, exiled, etc. So I want to start with my honor with chapter in the Holy Quran. You can follow if you like. The obedience of children to their father, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Circle 7, chapter 24. From the secrets of Allah, let man learn wisdom and apply to himself the instructions they give. Go to the desert, my son, observe the young stork of the wilderness, let him speak to thy heart. He beareth on his wings his aged sire. He lodgeth him in safety and supplieth him with food. The pity of a child is sweeter than the incense of Persia, offering to the sun. Yea, more delicious than odors wafted from a field of Arabian spices of the western gales. Be grateful to thy father, for he gave thee life, and to thy mother, for she should sustain thee. Hear the words of his mouth, for they are spoken for thy good. Give ear to his admonition, for it proceedeth from love. He hath watched for thy welfare. He hath toiled for thy ease. Do honor therefore to his age, and let not his gray hairs be treated with irreverence. Forget not thy helpless infancy, nor the forwardness of thy youth, and indulge the infirmities of thy aged parents. Assist and support them in decline of life. So shall their hoary heads go down into the grave in peace, and thine own children, in reverence of thy example, shall repay thy pity with filial love. Islam. And so that was father being Noble Drew Ali as our father, the father of nations. So there's many father of nations. And Noble Drew Ali is the father of our nation. Can you look up absolute and
Absolute and what?
relative?
Can you hand me the reference? Thank you.
Islam. So I want to give honors to the brother. He spoke on brother let me see here. Brother Nawiel, when he was talking about the literature, and the prophet said, you know, the literature is very important. That's why he did the Moorish, the press, the Moorish guide, you know,
That's right.
and you have to correct the literature. You have to read and correct the literature, because to change the people, you must change the literature. And I'm going to read two words here from the Law Dictionary, absolute and relative, and I'll tell you why they're relative
Okay.
in a minute.
I got the first one.
But the reason why I opened up with obedience to your father, Noble Drew Ali, is because from a more holistic perspective of the Moorish Science Temple of America, for the purpose that it was created or founded, it was founded for the uplifting of fallen humanity. But you have to understand or ask yourself, the uplifting, well, how do we uplift? In what manner do you uplift? And who are the fallen humanity? Are the questions to ask. The uplifting of fallen humanity. And that's the purpose of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So his teachings are prescribed to deal with that nature in itself, the uplifting of fallen humanity. And so nationality and birthright being in order today is what really the subject matter is for the Moorish Science Temple of America. You know, he said our problem was social, moral, spiritual, financial, every endeavor of human life is what we're really dealing with, morality and spirituality within the Moorish Science. But from a political perspective, we're dealing with a political problem, a status issue for the Moorish Americans. And that has become the primary focus of uplifting fallen humanity, uplifting them from the Negro, Black, and colored, while at the same time uplifting them to more agreeable spirituality, teaching them about themselves. So just think, you know, it's a process. So you have a spirituality that have to be uplifted. You have a political status that have to be uplifted. You have a morality that has to be uplifted. All these things have to be enlightened and uplifted at the same time, because you can't give a person law without giving them morality and spirituality so that they don't abuse their power of law, right? So it's a balance, and that's what the Moorish Science Temple was dedicated to. In the same time, you can't just give a person spirituality without not teaching them and giving them the status to be able to speak on the grounds thereof. So he gave us at one time, in one subject, in one format, the manner in which to uplift fallen humanity. Islam?
Okay. Absolute first, right?
Absolute.
That is what you said, correct?
I did, but I had mentioned Nariel. So I wanted to talk about, yeah, let me do absolute first.
It has several meanings. Sure you find it like that.
I'm trying to condense the lesson because I thought I had more time, so I'm just going to condense it and just give points of reference. From a lawful dictionary, the term absolute means complete, perfect, final, without any condition or encumbrance. Okay, as an absolute bond, in distinction from a conditional bond, like unconditional love, as rather than conditional love. I added that. An absolute estate is one that is free from all manner of condition or encumbrance. Okay, an estate in fee simple. So, absolute rights are such as appertain and belong to particular persons merely as individuals or single persons, as distinguished from relative rights, which are incident to them as members of society. An absolute duty is one that is free from every restriction, unconditional, determined, not merely provisional or irrevocable. Irrevocable. You ever heard of an irrevocable trust?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Can't be taken back.
Cannot be taken back.
Can't be non-negotiable,
Exactly.
non-transferable. That's not right. So you have to be careful reading out these dictionaries because words change, meanings change. So I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to go back to this one for this term here. And my reasoning for using these terms to keep everybody still on the same vibration is regarding rights, because that's what we talk about every day. Relative rights is those rights of persons which are incident to them as members of society and standing in various relations to each other. Those rights of persons in private life which arise from the civil and domestic relations. Okay. I don't like that one too much either, but we'll go with it. Okay. So, and just to clear things up, absolute rights are the only rights that cannot be suspended or restricted, even during a declared state of emergency. Okay. So my reason for saying this is because status is for foremost the most important subject matter. So when you talk about absolute rights, right, and you talk about the abuses that the people are experiencing, these are rights that are relative to the 14th Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's in actually what we're talking about. We're talking about rights have to be what? Explicit, because there are many rights, but you have to be explicit to what those rights are and how those rights are protected by your Constitution. Right?
Right.
Law is specific.
Law is specific,
Absolutely.
right? Because you have to, so we say what? Substantive rights. We say, so you have to be specific in the rights that you say. And I'm going to go back to Nawi El when he was speaking about the literature, because, and I'm just using the rights of indigenous people as a reference. It's a great reference, but in nature is universal. Morality, spirituality, right of conduct, diplomacy, it's
All of the above.
all of those above.
Truth
Truth don't change, and it's universal, right? Like the prophets. So this is I'm using for a reference, but it does say in the site, and I just want to get our minds on a vibration of what we should be entitled or the rights that we should automatically feel and have and should be respected. So in regards to this, in part 6, it says Article 31, education measures shall be taken among all sections of the national community. Now, consider us a national community, right? Let's consider that. Part and parcel to this said government, and particularly among those that are in most direct contact with the people concerned, with the object of eliminating prejudices that they may harbor in respect of these peoples. To this end, efforts shall be made to ensure that history textbooks and other educational materials provide a fair, accurate, and informative portrayal of the societies and cultures of these people. Rights of indigenous people.
Which article?
Article 31.
31.
Right, of an indigenous people, okay? Using the term, just, okay? Education. Government shall adopt measures appropriate to the traditions and cultures of the people concerned to make known to them their rights and duties, especially in regard to labor, economic opportunities, education, health matters, social welfare, and their rights deriving from this convention. Okay. There's so many of these that's relevant. I could read the whole text. It's not necessary, but they're all so relative. But I wanted to read just a portion of it because these are the rights that the prophet, this is what we're talking about, the Morris Science Temple America, proclaim your free national name and religion, and going back to what the prophet was saying to us in the Moorish Guide, a divine warning by the prophet for the nations, the citizens of all free national governments.
That's right.
Right? All free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all one family, bear one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that delude to slavery. And this is what we're here for. This is what we're talking about. And I wanted to give honor to Prophet Noble Ali and be clear that let's not forget that these rights that's absolute, that we have the right to. We still have a subject matter of vaccinations for children among many other rights that's being violated among the people, that we have to be able to enforce the right law, de jure law on these subjects. We have the greatest, what the prophets say about our people, the keys of civilization are in the hands of the Asiatics. Okay, nationality, the Asiatics with the nationality card. Okay, we have the ability, being in right status, to make change, correct change in the government in which we live, being part and parcel. It is our utmost duty that we hang on to those rights for the protections of our people and our children, and enforce it. You know? So just going back, everything is about rights. The 14th Amendment, even though that we have proclaimed ourselves outside of that status, we have to be certain that we don't fall victim to that status, because that's what's occurring. Even though that we have proclaimed, we still allow ourselves to be subjected to those abuses. And it's because we're not carrying out the law in its totality in some way, but we must be more effective in how we do those things because we do have the status, and we don't want to continue to be victims of the 14th Amendment abuse, in which most of our people are. So the prophet said, I gave you everything you need to save yourself. Now take it and save the nation. You know, so we have what we need to save ourselves. Now we have to take that and save ourselves.
That's right.
You know, we have to save, but he saved us. Now we have to save ourselves with that which he gave us. Islam, sis. Islam.
Just wanted to add that I believe it was written also, the prophet said that there is no need for the 13th and 14th Amendment for the salvation of my people.
And citizens,
14th
absolutely.
and 15th.
14th and 15th amendments for the salvation of people, absolutely. Islam.
We have a question on YouTube.
Mhm.
They're asking, by proclaiming our nationality in the temple, does that mean that we are, I'm sorry, by proclaiming our nationality in the temple, does that mean that we are nationalized? That's from Mornell.
Nationalize.
Yes, by proclaiming our nationality
We
in
are-
the temple, does that mean that we are nationalized?
Yes, we're not naturalized.
National.
We are nationalized. We're as nationality. We are national. So there's a difference between nationality and being nationalized, or being naturalized, huh? Or being naturalized. So I would say yes, we are. We would call national citizens. We're nationalized citizens. Our free national name. Yeah, we're not naturalized, but we are nationalized. Come get your nationality, Moors. We're national. Islam. And yes, absolutely. Islam. You want to come up and close? We're going to close the meeting. Islam.
You close that. You do the collection.
Okay. All right. Islam.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was one more question.
Yes.
It says, are these articles and the original Constitution being printed and given to the Moors in attendance?
Well, every Moor should have a copy.
That's what I said.
Islam. Islam. Yeah, this stuff is like prerequisite information and stuff that we just have to. This standard information that most of us start with. Islam. 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 So we're gonna close out. Brother asked me to close out. We go one-on-ones. We're gonna close out. Islam Moors. Additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1. The grand sheikhs and the governors and heads of all temples or businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali before acting upon by any members that be financed property of any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finance, etc. That will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc. by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend adult meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around in a meeting period, shall be fined on the first case. On the second, be fined an additional fee, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation. If he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire. And let every member exercise the 5 senses was able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guidance of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians. Because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era time now, and all men now must proclaim a free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Acts 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with the necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Islam? Islam. I want to give honors as well to Sister Monique, Brother Amari, Brother Monel, everyone else that's online, on YouTube, on the stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. Islam, we're going to close the meeting with our prayer. All rise. If there's any announcements, we can do the announcements after we close. Yeah. Islam. May Allah bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principle. This we ask in thy holy name, and the seven Elohim. Amen. Islam. Moors. Islam. Brother Flying Go. Oh, you know how to.
No, but you should let people know that they can get Moorish literature.
I don't know who's
They will
doing
do that. And
So if you say end again, it's still saving? Okay.